Neoclassical Geek Revival, Tools for Lazy GM. It took me a couple of weeks before I realized this was Geek Revival, not Greek Revival. And anyway, this is by Zzarchov Kowolski. And what Neoclassical Geek Revival is his own magic system. So you may wonder, should I get this? Well, yes, but the early part of it is his own system, and so this is information that's useful if you have your own system. It's for generating characters in this. It's kind of reminds me of new school systems, not old school, and that you can play a single class character or you can play a hybrid of a bunch of things. But after that, the next section, Hark, a Wizard. So there's some sample spells, some random grimoires, some themed grimoires, like, for example, Ancient Tomes, the Typicalities of Frul, or Dagonite Tablets, or the Silver Codex. And here's a listing of magical books. It tells a little about each one. So this can be useful stuff for your campaign, no matter what your game system is. Some mythical creatures for arcane study. There's a bunch of new spells here, which you could insert into your campaign. But the meat of the book is Lost in the Wilderness and the random encounters. So the way this works is at the same time you roll a d8, a d6, and a d4. And then you look on the chart to see what you got. So if you're doing farm country and you get a 2, 3, and 4, that's a fallow field. It's a where, what, and weird. So it's a fallow field with ghosts, only at night, and a small pond. But there's also, if you get certain combinations of numbers, other weird stuff happens. So if you have 2, 3, and 4, there's also children in the area, about 10 years old. So yeah, so there's a bunch. They have this for a bunch of different terrains. That was farm country. There's also the royal woods, the river, the scrublands, hill country, the old woods, the haunted forest, the barrens, the swamp, the coastline, the foothills, the mountains. And you see a bookmark because I've used this. Under mountains. Let's do that again. 2, 3, 4. So 2 is an abandoned an abandoned limestone quarry with a tall ceiling and pillars. 3, nothing. 4, wealth. Some amount of silver worth of dwarven goods on 4 plus on 4 plus on d6, or simple tripwire rockfall traps and Puji stakes even. And let's see, 2, 3, and 4 is a dozen ancient dwarven skeletons litter the ground. So there's caves, the desert, the sand-swallowed civilization. So let's try another combination. 1, 2, 3. Where? Massive piles of rubble, buildings on the verge of collapse, great drifts of sand block the lower entrances. Eerie quiet, heavy echoes, a roadside shrine for inscrutable forgotten gods, and since it's 1, 2, 3, a buzzard hovers nearby, circling the party and potentially giving away their position. The jungle, the endless savanna, the land that time forgot. Let's try 4, 5, 6. Why is... Okay. 4, 5, 6. So, 6 would be a fungal forest. 5 is megafauna. D4 plus 1 cave bear, 2 mammoth, giant sloth. That's 1 cave bear, 2 giant mammoth, 3 giant sloth, 4 hell pig, and 4 remnants of ancient masonry. So 4, 5, 6 is ancient temple still stands unlooted for the moment. Okay, and then there's a section on rampaging monsters. And so it gives you a bunch of monsters. So yeah, this is, and some sample monsters. It's a way of doing random monsters, and there's some samples. It's a way of, on the fly, creating monsters. And then there's a Marshall manual. This may or may not be useful in your system. It's for mass combat armies war. So, should you get this? Well, I would say even if you don't want to play his particular system, this is still a useful tool for when you need to come up with an encounter in a wilderness terrain on the fly, or a monster on the fly. So yeah, it's a useful thing. Neoclassical Geek Revival, not Greek Revival. At first couple of weeks I had this. I misread that as Greek, and I kept reading through looking for the ancient Greece references and couldn't find them.